All right. Well, it's 10 a.m. here in Kansas City, so let's go ahead and get things kicked off. I want to welcome and thank you for joining us today. My name is Brad Liggett. I'm a senior technical specialist on the Copilot for Security team at Microsoft, and I'm delighted to introduce you to our groundbreaking innovation that we believe will transform the way we approach security in our digital world, Copilot for Security. Imagine having a dependable co-pilot flying alongside you in the complex and ever-evolving landscape of cybersecurity. This co-pilot is not just a tool, but a trusted partner designed to assist and empower us to navigate the intricate pathways of safeguarding our digital environments. Copilot for Security is precisely that, a revolutionary approach to enhancing our security measures with precision, intelligence, and ease. What makes Copilot for Security stand out is its seamless integration into our daily operations. It doesn't require you to be a technical expert or a cybersecurity specialist. Instead, it offers clear, actionable insights and guidance, ensuring that everyone, regardless of their technical background, can contribute to maintaining a secure digital space. This inclusivity is at the heart of Copilot for Security, making it accessible and beneficial to all members of our community. In today's session, we'll explore how Copilot for Security can help us anticipate and respond to potential threats before they become critical issues. By providing real-time analysis and recommendations, it enables us to stay one step ahead of cyber threats and ensuring the safety and integrity of our data and systems. We're thrilled to have you here as we embark on this journey together. Your presence signifies a commitment to safety and more secure digital future. I encourage you to engage actively and ask questions. My colleagues and I will be here throughout the session answering questions in the chat. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to my friends at Reply. And let's dive into this exciting new chapter in security innovation. And thank you once again for being here, and welcome to the future of security with Copilot for Security.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you for the introduction. Hi, everybody. I'm Matteo Migliori. I have the privilege of looking after our security business unit and practice here at Valorem Reply. I've been in tech for over a decade, mainly responsible for the go-to-market strategy and leading teams that deliver great value for our clients across several industries. Worked in Italy, UK, and now in the US. And today I'm joined by my colleague, Eric Nepo, which is one of our senior architects and senior consultants here at Valorem Reply. And he's leading our hybrid cloud competence and Copilot for Security capabilities as well. So if we move to the agenda, Brett already anticipated some of the things we'll be covering today, but obviously we'll cover what is Copilot for Security, why is it needed, and what it can do for your business. And then Eric will run us through a demo, and so we can see it in action. And there should be time for questions at the end, but please, as Brett said, use the chat if you have any questions during the presentation. We'll try to get to them as soon as possible. Before I dive into Copilot for Security, I'll do a brief bio of Valorem Reply and Reply. So we're Valorem Reply. We're part of the Reply Group. Reply Group is a global network of over 150 highly specialized companies in technology consulting and system integration. We have over 15,000 employees globally. At Valorem Reply, since our inception about 15 years ago, we've been focused on Microsoft technologies. We are a prioritized Microsoft Cloud solution partner across all 6 solution areas, and we have deep expertise and advanced specialization across pretty much the whole Microsoft product suite. So why Copilot for Security? What is the challenge? So cybersecurity, first of all, as we all know, is a huge challenge, and the numbers show it. If you can go to the next slide, Eric. Microsoft has seen password attacks more than triple in the past year. If you fall for a phishing email, it only takes on average an attacker about 1 hour and 12 minutes to get to your private data. Defenders are struggling to keep up. We have attackers that have more resources and don't follow the same rules and patterns. And on top of that, there is a global shortage of skilled cybersecurity professionals of about 3.5 million people, which makes the management of the security incidents a daily problem. Security professionals basically are up to a huge challenge, and that is a challenge that we can help solve with Copilot for Security. So what are these challenges that security analysts face today? If you go to the next slide, yep. So the main challenges are on technology, people, and processes. So on the technology side, security tools are scattered and harder to manage, which leads to complicated systems and different views across the organization. As security setups change, attackers are using more advanced methods every day. On the human side, because there's such a wide range of security tools, processes sometimes tend to be disconnected. It's hard to find and keep skilled cybersecurity professionals, and collaboration leaves a lot to be desired. So these issues have been around for a while, and I think Copilot for Security is that new approach that is needed to solve a lot of them. So Copilot for Security is the first Gen AI security product to help defend organization at the speed and scale of AI. Since Microsoft initially announced it, there's been unprecedented interest on this product. It combines the most advanced GPT-4 model from OpenAI with Microsoft developed AI orchestration, and is powered by Microsoft Security's unique expertise, global threat intelligence, and comprehensive security products. Copilot for Security can and will help analysts and IT professionals be more effective and efficient, depending on the roles that they play in the organization. And we'll talk more about the roles later on. It can help you enhance and grow your capabilities and skills, and also support the workflows and teams you collaborate with. What are some of the key benefits that Copilot for Security can bring to your organization? So first one, analysts can work faster. They can reduce detection and response time, and it can allow for more focus on high-value tasks. A major productivity boost comes from simplifying complex tasks. Analysts no longer need to write scripts for threat hunting. They can ask questions in natural language, like you're probably familiar with using ChatGPT and so on. And Copilot for Security will also understand, create a plan, and write the script, saving time and helping junior analysts learn new skills. Copilot uses AI to analyze data from various sources, and Eric is going to run us through how that works shortly. It includes Microsoft Security products and threat intelligence, as well as third-party products through several plugins. This can help analysts catch things they might have missed, and all in a centralized dashboard without having to switch between tools. One of the key points is the education side that Copilot for Security can bring to especially junior analysts, allowing them to upskill quickly and handling more complex tasks. And with the shortage of cybersecurity talent that I mentioned, the boost of productivity really allows companies to recruit from a broader pool and bring them up to speed faster. What are some, and obviously Microsoft has some distinct advantages and differentiator that are bringing to the table, far beyond just the LLMs. If you go to the next slide, Eric, thank you. So the design behind Copilot is not just taking OpenAI and just rolling with it. Microsoft has the most advanced models available to anyone thanks to the partnership with OpenAI, but also Microsoft has an advantage because it brings to the table hyperscale infrastructure, security-specific AI orchestration, Microsoft threat intelligence, which is informed by, I always have to read this one, by 65 trillion daily signals, and then specific cyber skills and prompt books that are coded into the product as well. So it's much more than just a large language model, and it is a big advantage for clients. But in order to take full advantage of Copilot for Security, it's really important to understand how the data flows between the products and from the time you enter the prompt until you get a response. So I will pass it on to Eric to start going through that and dig a bit deeper into Copilot for Security.
Yes, thanks, Matteo. Hey guys, my name is Eric Nepa, and I'll take it from here. So there are 6 high-level steps involved in the process. I'll guide you through the flow step by step, but before we jump into it, let me just clarify a few items that are top of mind for our clients. First, the Security Copilot does not use customer data to train the model. And the second, customer data never leaves the Copilot compliance boundary. Microsoft has taken every step to protect your internal data. Now that we have those out of the way, let's proceed to the next steps. So in step 1, the user submits the prompt from the security product. The products that can access the prompts are depicted in the upper left corner inside the red triangle. The prompt can be submitted from either the standalone experience or embedded experience. We'll show you both experiences in a demo, but let's briefly cover both models here. In short, the standalone experience is similar to how you would interact with the standard UI of ChatGPT, where you can access all capabilities from single place. As I'm sure you're familiar with, you don't need to actually specify where data can be found. You just type in your prompt, hit submit, and hopefully data is going to show up. The embedded experience, in contrast, is meant to provide us with quick, intuitive guidance natively within each product that supports it. At present, the embedded experience is available with Defender, Intune, Entra, Purview, and Defender for the cloud. As you are asking questions or entering prompts within each product, it cannot go outside of the boundary of this product. So if you ask a question about Entra and receive an answer, and then in order for you to take this information for further investigation, you need to leave your embedded interface and switch into either another product or in a standalone product. So the prompt I will be using in this example reads as follows: show me all attacks on WAF or Web Application Firewall that took place in the last 24 hours. You can see the prompt at the bottom of the presentation screen. So let's see what happens next. Step 2, Copilot will evaluate plugins for pre-processing based on all of the information that was provided in the prompt. I like to think of the plugins as doors to the data that is contained inside each Microsoft product, such as Sentinel, Purview, Intune, etc. For the Copilot to be able to make use of each door, the following has to happen. Number 1, Copilot needs to understand which plugin it should engage based on your prompt. It will try to guess if you don't specify it, but it's not always guessing correctly. I will talk more about prompt engineering during the demo, which is a critical skill to have. The second requirement is for the plugin to be enabled, and we have full control over which plugins are enabled or disabled. And the third requirement is that data you're looking for has to exist inside one of the respective products. Please keep in mind that Copilot only works with the existing data, such as log entries, incidents, alerts, current scripts, etc., which is why it's critical to have all of the systems tuned correctly for the Copilot to work with this information. So once the correct plugin has been selected, the modified prompt is sent to the LLM. With our example of the prompt, the Copilot will modify our prompt before sending it to LLM. The prompt sent to LLM will ask the model to generate a KQL query specific to Sentinel to extract the correct information from Sentinel. We're not actually, just to clarify, we're not sending actual data to LLM. We're sending queries or data to process. Next, the Copilot received the response from LLM. Using our example of Web Application Firewall, the Copilot will receive the KQL query at this stage, or the question to ask of Sentinel. Once the response is received, it needs to be sent back to the correct plugin for post-processing, since LLM doesn't actually have any customer data. Following our example, in this tab, the KQL query will be sent to the Sentinel plugin, and Copilot will receive the resulting data. In the last step 6, the actual data is received from the correct plugin, Sentinel in our example, and it's sent back to the user, but not in a raw format. Copilot will present the data in more human-readable format than what you'll see in the KQL query result. Now that you know the underlying steps, let's take a look at our demo setup that we'll be using to demonstrate the Copilot. And also, I'm going to show you this exact scenario in the demo with this exact question. We built the lab and tested many different scenarios so we can help our customers get started with the Copilot the right way. The key challenge with testing Copilot is the fact that you need to have actual security-related events in order for the Copilot to do its job. We configured a few VMs inside Azure environment, a few VMs on-prem. We installed Defender for the cloud, agents on all of the attack targets. Then we added the Web Application Firewall to the environment and configured the web server that we can target for some of the attacks. And we launched our attack against the VMs and the WAF from on-prem Kali Linux host, as well as breach and attack simulation solution. Here's the metrics of MITRE attacks we generated in our demo environment using breach and attack simulation. Each highlighted square represents the attack that Defender XDR actually detected and how it was classified according to the MITRE framework. And here's an example of SQL injection attack that WAF successfully blocked. Next, I'll show you how to enable the Copilot for security inside Azure portal. This is a pre-recording because which shows that route because it takes longer to actually show you real tasks. So keep this in mind. We're using recordings in some cases, and we use a real interface in others. So let's take a look at pre-recorded process. Enabling Copilot is pretty easy. You navigate to it through standard Azure interface and select Copilot compute capacities. Click Create. Enter name. And then here, I'm going to stop briefly and explain what this means. By selecting this option, you allow Azure to actually use compute capacitors or compute power in other regions, that are different from your location. So if you're United States and selecting this, it may run at certain points when European capacities are less busy. So I'm going to allow Copilot to use other regions. Next, we select the quantity of compute capacity. So let me stop here and briefly explain what this means. Licensing or compute capacities are charged per hour. So each compute capacity, or what compute capacity is a certain amount of compute that's allocated to you. So the minimum is 1 compute capacity, and its cost is $4 per hour. So once you multiply it by a month, the total comes to $2,880. So if you'd like to use more compute capacities, like just 2 or 3, it increases linearly. So if we go with 2, it's double, 3 is triple the price. Unlike Copilot for the office, it's not charged per user; it's charged strictly per your tenant. So if you have one security engineer or a person that's using it heavily, then you may need 3 or 4. Or if you have 10 engineers that are lightly using the product, then 1 may be enough. But Microsoft is recommending starting from 3 compute units, and I'll touch a little bit more on that later. So let's continue. I selected 2. We acknowledge. Review and create. And from this point, it takes maybe another 15 seconds to spin up. So now it's spun up. I'm going to right-click and open Copilot interface in a standalone view. Okay, so here I'm going to exit the presentation or recording, and I'm actually going to show you around inside actual Copilot interface. So once you initially sign in, your screen is going to look similar to this, except you're not going to have any of the history of the sessions that I do have because I ran the prompts. Other than this, your interface is going to look fairly similar to this. Talked about compute units, so let me show you over here is where you can monitor your usage. I don't have any usage in the last 24 hours, but over here is where you can see how you're using the product, and then you can change the quantity right here if you need to increase it or decrease. Okay, next, let me get back into home screen. Next, arguably the most important part probably is the plugins, or they're called sources here. So once we get to sources, we're going to start with 9 plugins that are provided by Microsoft. Let me just expand them. They're just there by default. You can't really delete them, but you can enable or disable each one. So you can turn all of them off, all of them on, or some combination. Most of them don't have any kind of configuration associated, like Defender or Entra. Some of them do have configuration that's required for it to work. One example is Web Application Firewall. So let's click on that. Since Web Application Firewall doesn't have its own logging facility, it's actually sending data to Log Analytics, and it's configured inside WAF where to send it to. We need to actually configure it here because we can have 5, 10, 20 different workspaces, and Copilot will not know which one to query, which is why we need to actually enter this information here. Once we enter all of the details about the correct Log Analytics workspace and the view, then Copilot will have no trouble finding the correct information. Now let's take a look at some of the non-Microsoft plugins. There are a couple that are free, such as Hash Lookup and Internet Database. The rest are require setup, and most of them require username and password or some sort of a subscription that you may have for the product. So let's say Tanium, for example. If you're using Tanium inside of your environment and you want Tanium to be used as source of information for Copilot, you can set this up over here and connect it to your proprietary data and let Copilot work with it. And another item here, the last item, is custom plugins. What are those? So Microsoft enabled us to actually interact with the third-party data that's proprietary, or maybe where the vendor did not provide us with a plugin. You may have some source of data. Let's hypothetically say you have some human resources database inside your company, and this database has important information such as employee hire date, employee leaving date, and maybe they're living in a month or 2 months, or maybe they're contractors. So maybe you can take this data and inform and provide this data to Copilot. So when you're running investigations, you can actually make use of this data. You can ask, is this employee leaving in less than so many days, and get the answer. Just as an example, there are many different use cases that we can think of. Okay, and the last one is files. We can upload files. The limit is 3 megs. An example of a file could be internal policy that Copilot will use every time it's providing you with the answer. That's a useful feature, and a lot of our clients use that. Okay, so this is on a high level the how standalone experience looks like. Let's take a quick look at, in the contrast, what the integrated experience looks like. I'm going to use Microsoft Defender. So over here is a standard interface, and let's say we jump into incidents, and we take incident right here. Once it loads, there is more than 60 alerts, so there is more than 60 different actions or events that took place for the inside of this attack. But Copilot for Security, when it's enabled on the account, it starts to automatically generate content over here. It takes a few minutes to do that, so I already pre-populated the same incident in another window right here. So the same incident, but it already generated. It gives you incident summary, which is pretty extensive. Talks about what happened, what was discovery process like, what were the credentials accessed, what the IP addresses, and all the information that that you may need to start your investigation. But besides that, it also gives you possible or guided response to an incident. It's telling you how to contain this virtual machine or how to isolate this account, and so forth. So that's the difference. And in here, obviously, you don't actually enter the prompt. It just knows you need a summary for this incident, and if you'd like to investigate it further, you can click here and you can open the same incident inside of the standalone experience and pick it up from there. So that's the difference. And next item I wanted to show you is right here. So there are prompt books and there are system capabilities. So the best way to explain it is just to show it. So let's, for instance, open the prompt book for investigating M365 Defender incidents or Defender for XDR. The only input is incident number. So we would plug in a number of incidents that we're concerned with, and it's going to populate this variable here, and it's going to start rolling through all of those questions. And it's obviously asking those questions that are related to the same incident. So at the end, once it's complete, you're going to have wealth of information, including an executive report you can share with management. Let me show you how it works using pre-recorded demo, because this process might take 5 to 7 minutes if ran in live environment. So I'm going to use one of the prompt books we created, which is abbreviated. It doesn't have all 7 steps. It has 3 steps. And enter incident number here and click submit. As you see, I skipped through 3 minutes, and it's showing us the whole summary, kind of similar to what we saw inside Defender for XDR. Then the next question is to list all the entities, which is files, processes, IP addresses, and the final step, the third step in this abbreviated process, is to write an executive report. As most of us will probably agree that running something like this manually probably will take hours, if not more. But now let me jump into an example of system capability. There are many different system capabilities, and the one I'm going to demo right now is ability to analyze script. This is an example of a script that was quarantined using Defender from one of the hosts as a malicious code. It probably is going to take me, I don't know, 1 hour maybe to figure out what it does. And I'm not a developer, but if you're more inclined, it may take you less, but you can get an idea that it doesn't really jump at you what exactly this prompt does. So let's take this prompt and use one of the system's capabilities and see what happens. So we're going to select all system capabilities just to see. We have quite a few of them. We're going to select analyze a script or command and just paste the entire script there and submit the prompt. Now we're analyzing script. We selected generic plugin. And Copilot just goes step by step exactly over what the script does using human language, and it gives you a snippet of code that actually makes it happen. But more importantly, at the end, it gives you its assessment of how dangerous the script is. Is it benign? Is it malicious? Let's see the assessment. So the script is designated to replace an existing process with potentially malicious one. So it's considered to be malicious code, and it's running as a hidden process. So therefore, we know the script is malicious, and we know exactly what it does. And the script could be really anything. It doesn't have to be a quarantined one. It could be really anything, anything, or a script you're trying to implement. You can also ask a question of how, of what it does. Okay. So next, as I promised, we're going to go over the prompt engineering with you. So let's dissect our first example of the prompt into 4 essential components that make up a good prompt, which is especially important when we're using a standalone product experience, because as you remember, when you're using integrated experience, the tool already knows which repository of data to use. Whether in a standalone experience, you need to be more specific. So let's examine this prompt. I'm a manager of a security operations center and need to understand how well my organization is performing. Can you please take a look at the last 30 days of Sentinel incidents and let me know what threats we're facing and if we are prepared based upon incidents being closed and resolved? So as you can see, it's a pretty high level prompt. It's more of a business question. It's not a technical low level question generated by a security operations center manager. So the goal is I need to understand how well my organization is performing. That's the goal. What's the context? I'm a manager of a security operations center. What are the expectations? Let me know what threats we're facing and if we are prepared based upon incidents being closed or resolved. And last but not least is a source. Is there a plugin non-info or data source Copilot for security should use? In our case, we're asking to look at the last 30 days of Sentinel incidents. So let's see how it does. Entering the prompt. It's doing pre-processing, it's checking plugins that are being used. Next, it's selected Microsoft Sentinel plugin, is getting the incidents. Preparing response. So it created a high-level summary of all the incidents. It gave the title, count, and the status of an incident, because it knows we're not looking for summary of incidents because we're looking at it from the higher level. At the end, it also gives us the assessment of how well our organization is doing, based on how many incidents we have in total, how many closed, how many incidents are closed, and how many are still open. Now let's take a look at another example. Well, here's an example of a bad prompt. Everything about this prompt is the same except for one word. We removed the word Sentinel from the source. Well, let's see what it does this time. Checking for plugins, just as before. And look, it chose Microsoft Defender for XDR, and it couldn't complete the request because our incidents are stored, in our case, in our setup inside of the Sentinel. And we didn't specify it, so based on the language, based on the verbiage, Copilot decided to use XDR and it failed. And that's an example of being as specific as we can when we're generating our query. So let's take a look at another example of the prompt, which is very similar to what we use in our flow diagram. So the prompt goes, show top 3 security threats detected by WAF in last 15 days. Let's execute that. It went out, generated KQL query, and provided us with a summary of all of the security related incidents in a human readable format. But we can also go back and expand the response and see actual KQL query that was generated. We can take this query and we can paste it inside Sentinel and then generate the same logs. And if I had to guess how long it will take to junior engineer to create this prompt, it probably is going to be a few hours. So this is an example of how it saves time. But not only does it save time, it actually can be used as a tool to teach resources of various levels of how to do things based on this example. Now, this concludes our demo, and let's now explore how a reply can help in the journey of adopting the Copilot. So some ways we can help. First, we can build a training and testing environment just like the one we used for our demo. This can help with testing existing SOC procedures. It can help verify incidents are properly detected. It can help build the skills in the sandbox, and it can also help improve overall security posture of the organization. Next, we can help ensure that incidents are detected by XDR, Sentinel, Defender, etc. As we now know, Security Copilot doesn't actually generate incidents. It doesn't magically find hackers. You need to have data inside of all of your systems, whether it's Sentinel, Intune, or Defender for XDR, in order for Copilot to work with this data. That's a critical component that we help a lot of customers with. Now, this diagram outlines relationships of how data is moving between various products inside of Microsoft. But all of those connectors, they're just possibilities that could be there. They don't have to be there. They're not configured for you by default. So we can make sense and optimize the ways data is gathered and stored inside of your organization, so you can make use of Copilot more effectively. And at times we simplify it by funneling data from multiple products into something centralized, such as Sentinel or Defender for XDR. Defender XDR. Another opportunity is to integrate with external data sources. The items on the left and the middle are provided to you by Microsoft, but if there are sources of data, like I was mentioning, such as a HR database or anything else that can be used to inform Copilot, we can certainly help you build those plugins. Not only can we help you build plugins, we can also evaluate what kind of data repositories you have, because not all data is useful for security, and we can help you identify which data is useful and which one is not. And last is we can help define roles within the organization and help understand benefits for each role. In addition to that, once we understand which roles you have and what kind of interests there are of different stakeholders, we can help you create playbooks and generate correct prompts to get you information that you need. And that concludes our demo.